Now hold my beer and watch this. This is possible because not a single room in Soul Reaver has a true actual ceiling. They just have textures. Welcome back to Soul Reaver. That being said, this rule has one exception, but it's not in the final version of the game. It's in a cut section, which is a secret passage between Zephon's and Milkai's, I believe, territories. And the only way to get it, to see it, is by disassembling the game, which is in contradiction with the end user's license agreement, if you read it. Believe it or not, I did. In the last part, I said that I had no idea where to go, and I apologize for that mental lapse, and a spectacular one at that.
Heretic, you shall not pass.
Such loyalty to one who has you guarding this outpost like a chained dog. Do you prosper on the scraps he casts you?
Your insults will do nothing to blunt the agonies of your demise.
Kain killed me once. Behold the result. I have no more to fear from you.
This gentleman here is most of what is left of Tyrell in the game. This is a mini-boss, but it really doesn't feel like it, and the fight is disgustingly and almost offensively short and easy, so I'll elaborate when it's over.
This relic has infused you with the power to compress and manipulate space. As your symbiotic weapon, the Soul Reaver is also thus enhanced. You may focus and project an orb of kinetic energy to strike objects that are otherwise beyond your reach.
As you may or may not know, about a third, if not more, of the game was originally planned to be, but I butchered that, so let me start again. About a third of the game was cut in the end, so the final release is about 30% shorter than it was originally planned. Yep. Unfortunately, the game is a little bit buggy, and last time we've had some sound bugs, and now we have this. Yep, okay. So, about a third of the game was cut, and among that cut content is Tyrell. Tyrell is the only Kain's lieutenant, the only Raziel's vampiric brother, who is not killed by Raziel in this game. However, the insignia and the vampires of Tyrell's clan, the Tyrellim, are present here. So they did not disappear completely. And I don't really think I'm at liberty to talk more because Tyrell later reappears in Defiance, and I do not want to delve into that for spoiler reasons. But I will do that in a separate cut content video. So if you have played all the games or know the story, which is likely, I will welcome you to that. Now this underground passage between Sarafan Tomb and Rahab's territory, the Drowned Abbey, you'll see that it's full of vampires, but not Rahabim, as you may have thought, but Dumahim. The reason for that being that Dumahim are essentially the default vampires, and they, alongside Turalim, are the only vampires that are actually found outside of their clan's territory. Because you may remember Milkaihim and Zephanim, and you will see that later with Rahabim, they only stay within their clan's territories. With Dumahim and Turalim, that is not the case. These facts, they have spawned some theories, and not without basis, that some fan theories, that there may have been some turf wars, some conflicts for territory between the clans, which was kinda confirmed and then kinda denied, I'll explain later, by the Nosgoth. I mean Nosgoth the game, because even though that pile of crap is multiplayer game and the story is unfortunately relegated to extremely difficult to find side content. That side content, these blog posts, are actually quite interesting to read. And they confirmed that there were indeed conflicts between clans, between Raziel's casting into the Abyss and his re-emergence as a Wraith. There have been theories about an alliance between Turel and Duma, and another alliance between Rahab and Zephon. And there is also a theory on conflict between Turel and Rahab, which is something, by the way, that will be alluded to later in this video by me. And these theories are kind of disproven by the fact, by these blog posts, by these bits of history, but at the same time they're kinda not, because, well, it's been a lot of time between Raziel's death and re-death, I guess, rebirth. When I'm done with these couple of Turalim, I will ask you to pay close attention to the block that I will be shooting at, that I will be moving with my force projectiles. And pay close attention to the... I'm trying to figure out what's on this texture, but I can't. It's impossible to see anything. Pay close attention to that block. There is this woman's face, and there are 3 possibilities as to whose face that is. Possibility number 1 is that it's just some random face. Possibility number 2, in my view, although I have not seen anywhere, that's just me coming up with crap, is that this is Vordor's mystery wound, because the face is kinda similar, but at the same time the patterns on the face, the tattoos maybe, they are different. Possibility number 3 is that this is the priestess, which is another cut character. And I just realized that if she were not cut, she would have been the only alive female character in Soul Reaver. Great. Good job with gender equality, Square Enix and Eidos. So the priestess would have supposed to be... the priestess was supposed to have been the leader of the vampire worshippers whom we encountered in the Silenced Cathedral. And her location, her lair, I suppose, was supposed to be underneath a later location in the game, which I will mention when we get there, which will be later. And yes, in case you're wondering, Raziel would have eventually killed her, and even though she was not a vampire, he would have still gotten an extra ability from her. Well, that's actually really true about all bosses in the game. He would have gotten new ability from Turel, he would have gotten new ability from this priestess, he would have gotten new abilities from other bosses. So yeah, there's a pattern here. It only makes sense. We are approaching Rahab's territory, and normally this warp gate is where I would cut it out. But there is one last thing that I want to show and talk about, and it's the symbols that are being used in Rahab's territory. You know, see this? The symbol on the right. We are going to see that a lot. We're not going to pay any more attention to that, but we're going to see it. And it seems to be either the kinetic projectiles that are shot by Turilim and now Raziel, and that are similar to water projectiles that are shot by Rahabim, as we'll see later. Or it's Sun and Moon, because Sun actually scorches Rahabim. The Elder God will explain it right now.
Once a sanctuary against the vampire menace, this abbey has been drowned by the deluge spilling from this wounded land. Your brother Rahab and his brood, devastated even by the feeble rays of Nosgoth's sun, overcame their vulnerability to water and retreated from the surface. Now they haunt these ruins and glide in the darkness of its stagnant depths.
So yes, well, obviously the first thing is that Rahab's symbols are all over the place, and logically. And there are also these images of Turilim here. I'm not sure why, but this is one of the reasons why there's a theory on Rahab's and Tyrell's conflict. Which would also kind of make sense from a, I suppose you could call it a gameplay or a balance of power perspective, because Turilim and Rahabim, they both have ranged projectiles. Rahabim can shoot water, and Turilim can shoot force projectiles of kinetic energy, like Raziel does now. Finally, I took a look at that moon or kinetic orb symbol, I don't know. I will see you next time, goodbye!